We got breaking news for you. Federal investigators are expanding a probe on GM's 6.2-liter V8 engine. They're looking at the recall and whether GM got all the vehicles under that recall or if they missed some. The story is on pickuptrucktalk.com. It's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, the publisher here. Let's talk more about the story. I just got hot off the presses. Real for you guys. The failures could be more widespread with a new federal investigation probe expansion. So here's what's going on. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, has opened a new investigation into GM's 6.2-liter V8 engine failure. That's after receiving hundreds of complaints of vehicles not included in the earlier recall. Now, this move is a significant escalation and ongoing scrutiny of one of GM's most widely used and highly profitable engines. Remember, this is in Silverados, Sierras, Escalades, Yukons, Tahoes, all that kind of stuff. Now, there's hundreds of complaints triggering an engineering analysis. This is from the Office of Defects investigation. So the Office of Defects is within NHTSA, and these guys will monitor recalls, they'll monitor complaints from consumers, and they will enact more probes. We've seen this many times over the last couple of years. Actually, I've seen it many times in the last 15 years. The agency has logged 1,157 reports of bearing failures and related engine damage in vehicles equipped with the L87 engine. That is the technical terminology for the 6.2-liter V8 engine. The new engineering analysis follows an April 2025 recall. That was the one that GM initiated. That covers specific 2021 through 2025 model year vehicles. The recall addressed a supplier-related defect that could cause some engine failure. However, the Office of Defects Investigation says it's now received at least 173 additional reports from owners of vehicles produced outside the recall window, including the 2019-2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 and GMC Sierra models. Those complaints allege the same catastrophic failures. This has forced regulators to re-examine whether the defect extends further than GM initially disclosed. In a statement, ODDI said the situation presents a potential safety risk that warrants further investigation. So what's interesting about this stuff is that GM recalled 600,000 trucks and SUVs, but currently the agency has only logged 1,157 reports of actually failures. But then they found 173 additional reports outside the window of the recall, and that forced the regulators to take a closer look at things to say, hey, did you really get them all, or should the 2019-2020 models be part of this recall? Now, that's massive because those vehicles are probably outside of the warranty period. So those owners had to probably pay for engine replacements. So those owners could get cash reimbursements if they're outside the warranty period. That could be a massive thing. So beyond the original recall, as I kind of pointed out, 600,000 full-size trucks and SUVs, and now the NHTSA is looking at whether that's what's going on with the recall, and whether the root cause is the NHTSA. When the Office of Defects gets involved, those regulators sit in the office with the engineers. They go through the paperwork right with them. I've been told by manufacturers, this is like having your mom look over your homework every day, all day long, and actually have your mom and dad go to school with you and sit with you in classes. This is a whole pain in the butt. So inside defect, at the heart of the issue was the flaws, the internal components, as we've discussed many times when we've done the stories. Connecting rod failures, crankshafts, the way the parts were machined didn't quite make the right. I think it was the bearings didn't have the right components done with them. They weren't machined right and caused the failure. The failures could cause suddenly you saw sudden loss of power, knocking noise. In severe cases, the engines were throwing connecting rods to the block. It was just a really bad situation. Under the current recall, the dealers were inspecting the engines. They could see if there's a code present. If there was no code present, they were going to put a thicker weight oil in there. It's a slightly higher weight oil. That created a whole can of worms. I said from the start, that was actually GM's biggest failure, was changing the viscosity of oil, because that opens up Pandora's box. People want to question whether oil viscosity is a problem. People want to go to complaints. Really, the parts failures were the big issue. The parts weren't machined right, but now we have this big debate about oil. It's still going on this day. It'll go on for the next 20 years. That's what's going to happen. So the higher viscosity oil, 0W40 is now there, a new oil filter to use for the oil, and a new updated oil cap to indicate the change. That was part of the change. Again, just Pandora's box, that stuff. It's just crazy how much that is just taking its life of its own. And I saw that coming. So what comes next? The new engineering analysis determine whether the defect extends to early production, whether GM must expand its recall and repair campaign. So that's a big question. Are those 2019 and 2020 models part of the failures? We've also heard a couple rumblings of 2025 models. I'm sure the office defects will also kind of keep an eye on that as well. So 2025 models aren't out of the woods yet. As soon as the office defects gets their teeth into something, those guys don't let go. They're federal investigators for a reason. They're well-trained individuals. So if NHTSA's findings show the issue is more widespread than human knowledge, the automaker could face additional regulatory action and be required to cover repairs for thousands more vehicles. I've seen this in the past with Ford. Ford actually got fined by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, for not doing a recall properly. They got one of the largest fines in history. So these guys don't mess around. There's always a lot of controversy with the federal government. People, I hate the feds, hate the government. You guys should like NHTSA, and you guys should like the office defects. These guys are badasses. They go after automakers because they want to make sure you guys are taken care of. So for now, owners of the, I should say 2019-21, I added this incorrectly. This is 2019-2021, sorry. I'll hit the story when it gets set in the chance. Remain in the gray area. They don't know if their engines are potentially defective. They were never recalled. The investigators' outcome will determine whether these vehicles qualify for future repairs or replacements under a federal mandated recall expansion. And so we don't know right now today what's going to happen with trucks and SUVs. It'll be probably months until something's announced, or maybe even a year. These probes take a long period of time to get resolved. Okay, sorry about that. I just thought, why not fix it right now? So I did. I paused the video, made a change. Brain dead today. But so 2019 through 2020 models of GM vehicles, of the SUVs and trucks, those owners are in a gray area right now. You're going to have some optimism. Federal investigators are now looking at whether or not your vehicles are being impacted by the recall. They're doing some research into what's going on here. They're looking at more data, and the data is going to come from what GM found with suppliers, what they tracked down through the VIN numbers, what they tracked down through the manufacturing, when they identified the manufacturing defect. They'll look at the engines that got broken down, and they'll probably try to find those engines that had gotten replaced at dealerships and probably try to bring those back to an engineering lab and try to match up whether those crankshafts were the same failures that looked like the same for like a 2021 as a 2020. They'll do that homework. That's why this is going to take a long period of time. It's like a freaking murder investigation. Now, there's also people going to say, well, what's GM got to say about this? Nothing. What's GM Engineering going to say about this? Nothing. Those guys are being counseled by lawyers right now today to not say a word. Why? They're going to get sued right now. They're being sued right now. I'm sure there's class action lawsuits all in place. I think I probably reported on a couple of these things. People are suing GM immediately. As soon as a recall happens, people go to lawyers, start doing lawsuits because they don't feel like any recall is going to fix the problem. I guarantee you. I see it all the time. So officially, GM won't say anything. Officially, GM engineers won't say anything because they can't, because they're under subpoena. They're going to be called into court. Lawyers are all over these guys to say nothing at all. So there'll be no comment from their end. But I found it really interesting that federal investigators got involved, and that's really bad news for GM. And it's really good news for consumers because historically, when I've done this stuff, it seems like quite often recalls get expanded because from GM standpoint, it's much easier to just expand the recall and appease the federal government than it is to say, no, we got this. And it just seems like that's the way things go. So really interesting stuff today. I thought of breaking news, get you guys out to you as fast as possible. Yeah, interesting news. Make sure you check out the videos and channel over here, website down below as well, pickuptrucktalk.com. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.